I moved to Detroit about 5 years ago, and I met this beautiful, fantastic woman who had a lot of life goals that lined up very closely with mine. And she told me on, I believe, our second date that she wanted to adopt a child with Down syndrome. And I said, let's do it. And fast forward a couple years, we're now married, happily married, and in the process of adopting our first child, which we have, phrase we like to use is love makes a family. And by choosing to bring a child with Down syndrome in our life, we feel like we're finally completing that group that we've always wanted. So it's a fantastic question. My family are a little bit farther away. They're all in Indiana, so they can't be as a part of it as we're going through it. So they're not seeing all that we're kind of going through in the steps that we're taking, but they are incredibly supportive. They just don't quite. They have a lot more questions because they're not living through it like Taylor's family is at the same time. We had lots of questions. Taylor didn't have as many as I did. She's been a part of this community a little bit longer than I have. But the first person I believe that actually knew what we were doing was Paulette. The very first thing we did was say, we need to talk to Paulette. And we went to her, and she had amazing insight and advice for us. And the thing that stood out the most, I think, was in our very first conversation was the first time we had heard this, where she said the words, more alike than different. And I think that's the thing that stuck out the most to us is no matter how scary or different it seems, people with Down syndrome are more alike than they are different from everyone else. Same exact thing. Talk to Paulette, especially in this area, to have the resources that are available that a lot of people don't have. It's a disservice to anyone to not be a part of this community because there is in so many different levels, there's so many things that are available to help not only learn the world you're coming into, but to alleviate some of those fears. So one of the first things that my wife and I learned early on in our process of discovery, a lot of people are confused and they think of Down syndrome as just this one extra chromosome somewhere, but it turns out it's actually an extra chromosome in every single cell of the person's body. And there's nothing more worthy of celebration in my mind than that, because it literally is just more. And there's nothing that could ever be less with more.